Okay, let's stop here for a minute and see what we have done. For a standard material, the account assignment is blank and the item category is blank. Now for non-stock materials, the account assignment could be a cost center or project or sales order, and the item category is also blank. For services, there is an account assignment that's required. We said the cost center admin is going to eat it, and we also need an item category. For services, the item category is D. When you say D, another new tab called services opens up, and you can enter any services that you're planning to get done from a vendor. If you know the services in advance, you can very well enter them here. But if you don't know, well, we're going to enter them later. Now, this is one major difference between how you create a standard material versus a service material, right? And after that, you take a copy of the PO and you go enter services. How do you enter services? Instead of doing MyGo, you do a service entry sheet. You don't do MyGo, but you do a service entry sheet. So you go to service entry sheet, ML81N, put in your purchase order, and create a service entry sheet, adopt the services that are planned from the purchase order, and all the planned services that you have created in the purchase order will be defaulted into the service entry sheet. In case you try to enter more materials or more services in the service entry sheet, you should already have set an upper limit in the purchase order. And that's why you get this message if you don't enter that. So go back to the purchase order, and right adjacent to the services, there is a limits tab. So set and limit. So basically, it's like saying I'm approving $100 worth of services. And now after you have done that and saved it, if you go back to your service entry sheet, you can enter unplanned services, as many of them, until the limit hits $100. Well, in this case, the limit did not hit $100, so I could enter two materials, one for the advanced electric service and one for labor. And observe this column, one is planned and two of them are unplanned, right? And after that, every service entry sheet needs to be approved by a signing authority, like a manager or a supervisor. So as soon as you enter these service materials and their costs and prices and quantities, it says that the service entry sheet is not accepted yet. So it shows you that red bar. So somebody in the right capacity has to go and click on this green flag that accepts that service sheet. So he just goes and physically inspects the pump, make sure everything is working, and say, okay, I'm going to accept that. Once that green flag is checked, the service entry sheet is accepted. So the first difference was during PO creation. We said the item category is D. The second difference is we are not going to do MyGo. Instead, we're going to do a service entry, and somebody who's a manager or supervisor is going to accept the service entry sheet. So we have created a purchase order. We have created a service entry sheet against that purchase order. And that means the service that we have asked from the vendor has been performed. And somebody in a managerial capacity has accepted that service. What's the next step? The next step is to receive the invoice from the vendor. We're going to see that in the next chapter.